Welcome back to the channel. So today we are exploring the journey of taking a property from probate to auction. If you've ever wondered how properties end up on auction and what the process entails, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. I'm Karen Wright, a local real estate agent in Wichita, Kansas. I'm here to tell you about the probate and auctions here in Wichita, Kansas, and I'll provide some auction house names here later at the end of the video. So first, let's talk probate. Probate is the legal process that occurs after someone passes away and their estate needs to be settled and distributed according to their will or state law if there is no will. So this process involves validating the will, taking inventory of the deceased assets, paying their debts, paying their taxes, and distributing the remaining amount to the heirs. During this probate time period, if the deceased owned real estate, the court may decide to sell the property to pay off the debts or distribute the proceeds among the heirs. This is where the journey to auction begins if the executor does not want to sell through regular real estate channels. This typically depends on the condition of the house. Usually if it's not in the best of conditions, the auction may be a great place. And possibly whether or not they live out of state, although I've worked with a lot of people that are out of state. The executor can talk to an agent, get an idea of a price recommendation. If it's not in great shape, for the least amount of effort to the executor, they can look at an auction. So they don't have to clear out the house either if they don't want to for an auction. Again, less work for the seller. Do not pay commissions either on an auction, which is a really nice benefit. Here in Wichita, the auction houses usually require a 10% premium, but that's what the buyer pays, not the seller. So however, it does affect, what a buyer is going to pay because they obviously have to take into consideration I'm also paying 10% premium, but it does not go on the seller's net sheets. That's a nice thing. A couple auction houses in town. McCurdy's been around the longest, and now all brokerages are putting an in-house auction together, like PenFed Auctions, Reese Nichols Auctions, and several other brokers. I think Better Homes and Gardens has one as well. So now let's get into the auction where the property, it's sold to the highest bidder. As you probably know, auctions can be held like in person, online, or a combination of both, and nowadays it's gearing toward more online. The auctioneer starts bidding at a price set by the court or the executor, and potential buyers will place their bid. So even though most are online these days. Also typically online for about 30 days, bidders will go in heavy, usually at the end of the auction, sometimes causing it to even go past time. The first 28 days, it's really kind of to market the property, and once the reserve is met, it really attracts the bidders because they know, okay, this is selling. A reserve is when a seller provides the lowest dollar amount that they'll accept for the house. So if a reserve has been met, bidders know the house will be sold, so they get very invested at that point and will start bidding it. It's important to note that property sold at an auction typically sold as is, meaning the buyer accepts the property in its current condition without any warranties or contingencies or inspections. This can be a great opportunity, especially for investors looking for a deal, but it's crucial to do your due diligence before bidding or just have a lot of expertise in houses and what's wrong with them. There's also what makes it more difficult and not the best idea for the non-savvy house buyer, as they really need an inspection done and an agent to hold their hand along the way. I did do one recently, but it was home sellers coming from another state, rebuilt the house. Talk about financials. If the house hasn't been kept up or needs a good amount of money to fix it up for sale, taking it to auction is a great idea. If you take it to auction here in Wichita, Kansas, you do not pay commissions. I mentioned that a little earlier, which is the biggest expense in selling a house, taking away the profit. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. But yes, you heard correctly. You do not pay commissions. The executor does not pay commissions on the house. The auctioneers here have a thing where the buyer pays a 10% premium, which will include commissions. The seller just pays half the title and taxes through closing. Let me give you an example. Let's say something sells for $100,000 at auction, then the seller would pay half the title fees plus the taxes through closing. 2024, half the title fees on 100K house would be $440, and then the seller would pay also the taxes through closing, to kind of give you an idea in a nutshell of a very basic example. The hardest part to explain here is taxes to a client, as taxes here are paid in arrears, which of course confuses a lot of sellers, but that's for another video. So have an agent help you figure out what to expect for taxes on the settlement statement, either way you go, auction or regular sale. And you do want your realtor to run through the numbers like I just mentioned to see what they think the house would sell for on the market versus what it would sell for at auction. Agents will provide the client with a net seller sheet, showing the financials for both a regular listing or if you choose to go the auction route. Now remember, these are estimates, as we don't know what the final price is going to be sold at the regular sale or auction until it's actually sold. So these are estimates, best estimated based on past comparables. When the house finally closes, you can expect title to send the house, profit, aka proceeds, to the probate attorneys at closing, and then they divvy it out to the parties. Let's recap. The journey from probate to auction, if it goes that way, involves several key steps. The probate process, either selling the home with a realtor or through auction. Each step is designed to ensure the property is sold fairly and the proceeds are distributed according to the court's instructions. So there you have it. Thanks for joining us on this journey from probate to auction. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video. If you have any questions on topics you'd like us to cover, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video, and happy bidding.